Hi, welcome back to the channel, TrainStation 2. Alright, we got the first again, finally. And thanks to my friend there for his congratulations message, Mosky. And of course, I do hear him. Let's stay away from each other in future competitions. That's fantastic there. Alright, we managed to exchange for the Shinobi, which is the common event train. And of course, with regrets, we managed to get that rare train, but I think that's perfectly fine. I did mention that there's always need to set your target for every event. So in this Japanese event, my target is always the first 2 legendary traits, which we already achieved that. Alright, then of course I set another second target, which is basically so-called to claim another train if possible, which is what we have already claimed, the epic train. So we have 2 legendary, 1 epic, so that was the so-called the second target. And then subsequently, any train comes on board will be basically a bonus, which we have managed to claim a Shinobi, the common events train. Alright. Alright, so we have a total of so-called 4 event trains claimed. 1 so-called trains not claimed, as I mentioned, is the Dr. Yellow, which is the rare event train. Alright, so that's all I got to tell you in this claiming of trains for this event. As for now, what you're seeing is really the last few hours before the end of this event's competition, which is the last competition. Again, as usual, fighting really hard for the competition against very strong competitors. We have a Yard Master and of course our best friend here, Mosky. In the last video, if you have noticed, I already so-called come in contact with him. He's declared that he's a free-to-play. That's why I have my respect there. So with that, I think he did mention that I think he's quite busy, henceforth not able to so-called fight really all his best. So you can imagine that when he's so busy, he can still get second. So I would say I'll admit defeat for this competition. Actually, he should be crowned first had he be able to concentrate fully into this competition. So for that, I'll give him a round of applause. Alright, so for here, what we have always been doing in this event is really see how we could get first in so-called the competition. So some of the tips I'm going to share one more time with you is really a few things, okay? In preparation for any competition, be it in any event, not necessarily just this Japanese event, is that you got to really prepare your EP head start, which is basically jobs that you can do before the start of competition. Do not collect them and then eventually have that as your EP head start. So EP head start is going to be smart to choose the one that gives us the most. Alright, so that's number 1. Number 2 is really to get all the event items packed to the brim in the warehouse, and as well as continuously round the clock doing manufacturing them. And as for the other items, you can pack them in your core warehouses, be it the input and output tray. I did mention this many times, your core factories can act as your interim warehouse, whereby your output tray will be the finished products, and then you want to store that production. Your input tray can be a warehouse for your so-called raw materials. Alright, so that's number 2. So number 3 is definitely, I think you got to make sure that you have a good warehouse size. So for that is a continuous effort. What you're going to do is you can build up the population by having the 5 building technique. So with 5 building technique, basically you lay out 5 buildings, and in the center is special buildings surrounded by so-called 4 common buildings, and then after that you're going to fulfill all the upgrades requests there, and with the upgrade request you increase the population constantly, and eventually with sufficient population you can then upgrade your warehouse. So with that you will have a stronger warehouse space, unlike mine. Alright, so I do understand that some people maybe at my level would have already a warehouse of a 10,000 space or more. For me it's only 3,000 plus, so or even their population would be like what, 60,000. Can you imagine that? Whereas mine is less than 10,000. So this is the stark difference, and that is also the reason why you will not be able to do well just like me if you have a really tiny warehouse itself, because people can fit in tons and tons of finished products in the warehouse once they have finished building them in the events factory, whereas we can't. We can only fit in a very tiny quantity, and throughout the competition people will just concentrate on delivering, whereas we'll be just concentrate on manufacturing before we can deliver. So that makes a stark difference in terms of competitions ranking itself. So I think the next tip is really, I think is still work, is really to start really late. So do not start too late. I think in this Japanese event, I did an experiment, and definitely the experiment failed me terribly, which allows me to basically not be able to get the maximum amount of coins that I wanted. Alright, so that failed experiment disqualified me from the competition. If you have not seen that video, please check out the playlist, which I have think the thumbnail saying that please do not try this. Alright, so that's something I think you're gonna bear in mind. Do not start like very late. Try to have at least 36 hours before the end of the competition. So that being means when you have the long competitions of 3 days, try not to start later than probably 36 hours. So because in generally if you start later than 36 hours, which I did, I was disqualified. So if you are doing a so-called a short 2 days competition, try to start probably 12 hours, also called within 12 hours, so that will be safe. Okay, so guys, go bear this in mind, so as not to be disqualified. It's really a painful event when you have to be disqualified from a competition. You lose a good number of event coins. And that being said, like I did mention, when you start in events competition, try your best not to hit 100% too soon, otherwise it will be getting very difficult. Alright, we have ended the competition. Okay, so with that good amount of 350 event coins, we managed to get ourselves 50,000 richer. So that's how it works, and I'm really happy that we managed to get first again. In the first two competitions of this event, I got first. Subsequently, I was disqualified, and I never touched first again until this last competition. So there are two firsts, and this might be third first in this competition. In total, I have 37 firsts, 3 second, 3 third. Alright, so the event has ended. I did mention that we have roughly 48 hours to do the remaining jobs that you have on hand, and after that, based on the number of event keys you have, you can then change for whatever rewards you wanted within the same time frame. If you do not do so, all of this will be converted into metal keys for you automatically by the system. So do not be concerned as well if you have can't do anything, I can't do any exchange, because the quantity of events key is lower than the minimum quantity required. They will actually pay you in proportion based on the metal keys, probably 1 or 2 metal keys. Alright, so that's being said, we have sufficient so-called coins on hand. The next best thing to do is really to upgrade. We have a lot of common parts, and I think more importantly, now we're going to think what we want to do with the event keys balance. So of course, the event keys wouldn't be sufficient for the rare train that I mentioned. I managed to exchange for Shinobi. That would cost me 500 event keys. That would definitely be a balance that I can exchange for parts. So this is something that I got to ponder later on, which type of parts we are thinking about, which type of parts is so difficult to get that we would want to exchange or using all the event keys. So this is something really in terms of concerning future planning. You can see here Shinobi as 500, definitely we'll be able to achieve that. For the rare train is 1200, so Dr. Yellow, it will not be possible even I complete all the 3 jobs on hand. So this is something I wish to quickly complete, and then eventually make some calculations to see how many event keys I will achieve after finish these 3 jobs. But just a very quick count, I know that I have about 1100 plus rather than 1200, so that's not possible to get that rare train itself. But really you got to think what you want. For me, probably I'll get some rare parts. I think common parts we do have a lot already. So definitely after getting Shinobi, I'll upgrade Shinobi to the max of capacity. Why so? Because then in future competition he will become useful. And also you gotta bear in mind, only event trains that are coming from events has an additional 10 capacity, i.e. 30 capacity of a maximum. Vis-a-vis a common train that you have in the region is 20 capacity. And by fully upgrading that Shinobi, I will be able to so-called claim another good number of headquarter points. Okay, so this is the event notice that tells you that you have a balance of 48 hours to do your claiming of your rewards and finish your jobs on hand. Okay, so last one job to do is definitely the rice ball. And of course with that then we should be able to exchange everything on hand. So I will just now concentrate on doing all the rice ball to finish this last one, and we get game at another additional 46 event keys from those rice balls delivery. So this is takes time, and of course during the competition it's not possible. Henceforth we got to finish it right now. So this is one of the last strategy in terms of the events I got to share with you. You got to really make sure you concentrate on one at a time so that eventually you can generate more uncompleted event deliveries, so you can have additional event so-called those event keys at the end of the competition, and that will allow you to get more rewards along the way. So with that, I think we come towards the end, the last job being completed right now. You can see there'll be no more jobs generated, and with that you can now feel free to do whatever you want with your own region. There'll be no one making requests in the events of anything of sort. So with that, I'll probably claim some goal along the way, try to finish some of the deliveries in Canada, and eventually think how we could increase the population by fulfilling all the building upgrade requests. So these are the things we gotta do right now while we're still free before the next Train Tycoon mini event. Train Tycoon mini event, just a bit of introduction. If you're new to the game, if you've not played it before, how you can prepare it is really to make sure you have all the items waiting to be collected in your core factories, because one of it is really to ask for things from your core factories to be completed. Alright, so now we have claimed that Shinobi. Alright, so that's my last event train already, and with the remaining good of 610 parts, we should be able to claim some parts. As I mentioned, lucky here we got 10, and that allows us to claim additional 4 keys with 5 each. And if you have some like odd number below 5, don't worry, the system will pay you back at the end of 48 hours. Then they will pay you the balance prorated in terms of metal keys. Okay, so it's not wasted in a way. So of course we really got a plan. What I'm trying to do now is really to think what would be the best in terms of upgrading of trains. Like I mentioned, Shinobi I've upgraded to the max to get additional headquarter points. At the same time, really help me in future events as well. So this has been fully upgraded, and yet we still have common parts. So common parts will not be my priority in claiming. Rare parts, epic parts, and legendary parts. So these are the 3 things we're going to measure and think about it. For me, I'm not going for legendary parts because legendary trains are of high capacity to start with, and I've upgraded most of them along the way. So I'm not going for that. I'm going for the rare parts instead, because rare parts are not easy to get, and rare trains are not a lot of them in the current region I've been. So I really wanted to increase the capacity of the rare trains. We can see here it's very expensive with a good number of rare parts required. So I'm going to claim everything on the rare parts, and the balance I will claim that 4 meta keys of 10 event keys in total. So you need 5 event keys for 2 meta keys. So that's how it works, and just use up the balance. And then of course with that we have all the sufficient rare parts to do the upgrades, and eventually hoping for more of these parts to be collected along the way, be it on your daily basis or be it for future events, and then we can upgrade more trains of that. And of course, as you can see here, I'm currently at 262 level, moving so-called really fast towards the level 300. So I'm preparation for that. I'm saving up the coins if possible, if I'm not going to spend them later on for upgrading, also going to bring them, some of them, over to the next region. And of course, those common parts will come in handy as well. So especially when it comes to a new region, metal keys are really important. I'm saving now 976 already. I'm trying to save at least 3000 before I cross to that 300 mark. So for now, what I'm trying to do is really to earn those metal keys, and eventually if I have 3000 metal keys, I'll open so-called 20 numbers of 100 metal keys container, and a balance of 1000 I'll use it for 5 200 keys metal containers itself. So that is how I plan for moving forward. Alright, thank you for watching. Do like and subscribe, and good luck. Goodbye.